Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, osia dem yopo.
7.1 in Tamale, and then also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. I am Alfred Okanse, if you've just joined us. But this week, the Speaker of Parliament was very convinced that he has been vindicated with his position that the Special Prosecutor's Office creation was an act in futility. Well, this is what the Speaker said in justifying this vindication that he feels. Take a look.
Office of the Special Prosecutor, I did tell you that it was an act in futility. You were not going to achieve anything from that, but you went ahead to pass it. I disagreed with you, but I was alone. But I'm very clear in my mind that that authority is embedded in the powers of the Attorney General, constitutionally. Who delegated to who? No, but that is not what you put in the act. What you just need to do is to fund the office of the Attorney General well and remove the Minister of Justice. You separate the two. Minister of Justice is a political appointee. The Attorney General is a technical person, and he only is ranked in conditions of service to that of a Minister of State. It doesn't mean they have to be incorporated to. Oh, I'm talking about the Constitution. No. I have it. I have my Constitution with me here. We are not Supreme Court, so we don't have that power. Yes, it's there, 881. I have no problem. I have no problem with Attorney General being a minister. I'm only saying you separate that from the Minister of Justice. Yes. Honorable members, so to have put the question on the...
So that's the Speaker of Parliament there, feeling that sense of vindication in all of this. There are some lawyers who have argued that there's some level of understanding to what the Speaker's position is because of a constitutional maybe error or mistake, for that matter, for the lack of better expression. We'll get into it. He makes a proposal that he would have wanted rather an independent Attorney General and then a Minister of Justice who is appointed, or a political person for that matter. We'll get into that proposal as well shortly. But if you take into consideration the Special Prosecutor's own frustrations and all of these songs of Ankwanoma that he's been talking and singing about all the while, it sort of gives credence to the feelings that the Speaker has about his work and the fact that all of these frustrations that he's facing could have been just as a result of the lack of clarity in the creation of his office. This is the Special Prosecutor a couple of weeks ago at the press conference.
Wait, let us bring before you the body of our investigation as evidence. And if you look at it and you decide that the evidence does not show up to the standard of proof required in criminal cases, then you can dismiss it. But don't prevent us from doing our work, from investigating. It is dangerous. As I said, I wasn't sounding as a prophet of doom, but there is doom looming ahead of us. That very soon, a murderer will boldly walk to court to seek an injunction. Should I feel frustrated and resign? I took an oath when I was sworn in. And in my life, when I take on the reins to do something, I do it to the best of my ability. Those who do not understand tree, please forgive me. They say I'm a unkwanoma. Me de me cry abo afore. Me ye de me to me. Emre so a ekọ.
So all of these Ankwanoma things is what also some others feel like. He's only just giving credence to what the speaker has been talking about. But after all of this, the special prosecutor started giving his scorecard. His office has been sending out, leaflets and flyers and statements detailing what he has been doing over the period as special prosecutor. Reason why the creation of the office is indeed important and impactful, contrary to what the speaker has been saying. My guests are seated. I'll run through just a brief of the scorecard of the special prosecutor as his office has been putting out this week. We'll have a brief conversation on this. Andy Apiakobi is Member of Parliament. He's a private legal practitioner as well. He's a member of a number of committees in Parliament, one of which has been very busy this session. And they took the decision not to even hear this LI seeking to ban some 22 items. Asante Achim North Member of Parliament.
The man is going for re-election.
Indeed. We'll talk about that briefly. But Andy Apiakobi is here.
Who will not remind you of this.
Lawyer Andy Apiakobi, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, my brother.
Okay. Also with us is another private legal practitioner. He's not a member of Parliament. He's the convener of the Kumi Preco demonstration. He's leader of one of the individual bondholder groups. Does that group still exist? Does it not?
Yeah. It's
What's the latest with the payment of your?
Well, right now payments are ongoing smoothly.
So you are getting small.
But if Fufuriata messes us up again, then we'll be up in arms.
So right now the coupons are coming.
I enjoy it. We know those fine because they become rich as a result of these bonds. Our aim is just to make sure that we should also be paid. They can't get very rich now, and then we should be impoverished. No.
So that group is still on?
Yeah, it's still on.
Thank you very much.
Aluta continua.
Aluta continua. Martin Kpebu is with us. Lawyer Martin Kpebu, good morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
Always. And Clement Apak, Dr. Clement Apak, is a former lecturer of mine and also the Member of Parliament for the Busa South constituency, and also the deputy ranking on the Education Committee of Parliament. Dr. Clement Apak, good morning. Welcome.
Alpha, good morning. But have you mentioned Busa South?
Yeah, I did.
I thought he was not going to.
I did. Yes, I did.
Member of Parliament for Busa
Yes,
South.
I did.
We are getting into the season, so
it's important.
It is required. You can forget all my other credentials, but
the Busa South must be emphasized.
And associate it with Busa South.
Including my very bad friend.
Oh, Andy. Just okay. On a lighter note.
Yes.
Many don't know, but Andy and myself are mates.
I see.
We're in Legon around the same time.
Yes.
And in Commonwealth, and he was in
Ekwafu. Peaceful Ekwafu.
I see.
We almost impeached him, but he survived.
He started the impeachment process the very first day I was elected as SRC president.
That's when he started the impeachment process.
The same day.
It's crazy.
You've never known peace for quite a while now. Thank you so much.
We're a lot more vibrant.
Indeed. A number of you politicians are colleagues.
Yes.
At the various institutions. And you end up in politics on both sides. But yes. Also joining us shortly will be Bobby Bansing, his private legal practitioner as well. But gentlemen, it's good to have you. This is what the special prosecutor put out, the scorecard. Let's just run through it briefly. These are the prosecutions. He says the Republic versus Ejenim Boateng. This is the trial of the former chief executive of the Public Procurement Authority, and his brother-in-law is ongoing before the Criminal Division of the High Court, Accra. As you know, Ejenim has been charged on multiple counts of using public office for profit and directly and indirectly influencing, that's some influence peddling there. The next one is the Republic versus Alexander Kwabena, Suffolk and Tanka. Now, prosecution has also closed its case in the trial of this MCE nominee for jobbing in the Ashanti region for corruption in respect of a public election. Remember this MCE nominee going to collect his money that he gave to the delegates or the people. Anyway, let's go to the next one. There's Republic versus Cecilia Abnadapa, and the refusal to declare property and income as demanded by the OSP. And the plea of the accused yet to be taken, the docket yet to be assigned to the new judge, and the case has been adjourned to December 22. So that's something you should bear in mind. Getting into this week, this is one of the cases that the court will hear. Charles Edubuahin, Martin Kpebu, your favorite. Charles Edubuahin. So after an exhaustive inquiry prompted by the president's referral regarding the former deputy finance minister's conduct in an investigative documentary by Tiger IPI titled Galamsey Economy, the OSP concluded that Mr. Edubuahin engaged in misconduct as a public officer and his actions constituted trading in influence. That's where it ended. You remember a couple of weeks ago there was this contention with you and Samid Akon whether or not this was what was in the report. Well, the OSP's own report indicates that he said it was trading in influence, influence peddling. But he stopped there, indicating that, yes, there is no specific law that...
no, he's there. Jantua. Republic versus Jantua. Jantua.
So I'll start off with you on this. Let's start off. Let's. So this is the Speaker's position on the special prosecutor, that this office was an act in futility. Bobby Banson, good morning. Welcome. Okay.
Good morning, Alfred.
Great. Good to have you.
Good morning to Senior.
Fantastic.
Morning, Bobby. Hi.
Great.
Yes,
Great. Thank you.
Good to see you.
You
Thank
good?
you.
Yes, I'm good, Senior.
Right. Let's start off with you, Lawyer Martin Kpebu,
Yes.
on this OSP creation of the office and the Speaker's verdict, plus your own concerns you've had with the OSP over the period. Quickly.
Yes. Okay, so the Speaker, let's start. Mr. Speaker, well, you know, I always say that I like the whole idea that Mr. Speaker is from the NDC stock. At least it gives our democracy some vibrancy and some resilience. The fact that he got elected even though he's from the NDC, that's good. And since coming into office, he's done quite a number of things that are good. There are others who will criticize him for. It's normal. Nobody will get it 100%, okay? It's cool. Now, on this conversation too that he started, I see two main things in it. His accent, substantively, the good point he makes is that he wants the office of the Attorney General, he wants the Attorney General to be decoupled, okay? From the Ministry of Justice. That one has been an old constitutional debate. You see, that's why I brought my Constitutional Review Commission reports and all those things here. In England, just to summarize, they have an Attorney General separate from there's a Minister for Justice. So that one I support. But the only side that I don't support is when he said the OSP Act is an exercise in futility. At least, Mr. Kansi, even what you've recounted this morning shows that this is not futility. It's a work in progress. Naturally, you know, corruption is a difficult thing to fight. Corruption, you know, people who undertake corruption come into a lot of funds, and so they can fight and fight really well. If you are not even careful, they will defeat you. They would. So the fight is difficult. And so when you have a difficult fight, we shouldn't equate that to futility.
Okay.
From what you've recounted, you see that the OSP has done something. Of course, I have my challenges.
Could all of these have been done without the OSP's office?
I'm not sure. I say I'm not sure because, you see, before the OSP office was created, and if you Google, over decades, we've had these conversations from the 90s. From the 90s, that we started saying it appears an Attorney General is not the best candidate to prosecute his colleagues in cabinet. That is us. We are Africans, right? We are Ghanaians. We are communal in nature. So there are some cultural basis for people saying, no, I don't want to sit in cabinet with you and then the next day prosecute you in court. So it's a conversation we had for more than a decade. More than a decade. So I remember the IEA started championing the creation of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. I think from about 96 or so. So it's not even from the year 2000. These debates have been on for about 96. So it tells you that just at about the second term or in the Fourth Republic, other people contributed. So when you Google, you see that this is a debate we've had for over a decade before finally we created that office. And let's not underrate the importance of public opinion in our discourse. You see, governance is something that we usually take feedback. The presidents and the people in the executive office, they take feedback from the people. So this is a conversation that spanned over 10 years. Especially, and let's not even forget too that this OSP is not the first time. So we're just going back. We had a special prosecutor, public, prosecutor like that. The last person was Lawyer Pia. I think this man too, Bright Akwete also worked in that office, right? But Lawyer Pia was the public prosecutor. Eventually, he also got ensnared in corruption.
Dr. Akwete of IDEG.
No, Bright Akwete.
Bright Akwete, that's CDD.
A lawyer,
CDD.
Public, yeah,
yes.
No. Bright Akwete was a CDD, ran for presidential candidate. Yes. Before then, he worked for the Attorney General. Yes. And before then, he was in the Attorney General's office. Then he was sent to Gambia, came back. Yeah. So he used to work in the office of the special prosecutor. And there was a law. So you see that what we are saying, the pith of this thing is that Mr. Speaker can't wish away, just obliterate the conversations we had for over a decade. Where was he? So he was in the minority, and democracy sometimes, that is the rule of the majority. But of course, we like to take into consideration very incisive and constructive dissent, right? But I'm saying that debate went on for long, and it appears there was a consensus that give it to an independent person. If he's saying that, look, you just go to Kenya. I was in Kenya some time ago, 2007, and then later 2018. They have a DPP. The Kenyan DPP is independent. You see
that's the Director of Public Prosecution.
You see the block they are now building for the Attorney General next to the, the court complex. The DPP has such a block in Kenya. The DPP is not a joke. In their constitution, insulated and everything. Ghana, our DPP is under the armpit of the AG. So the point I'm making is that if you're saying that, there's no need to create OSP, then long ago we should have had the DPP being very independent. Our constitution doesn't deal with the DPP like the way the Kenyan constitution. You open the Kenyan constitution, you see how the DPP is separate and independent. And I have seen it fiscal, even the office alone. What we are now trying to build for the AG, the Kenyans had the decades.
For the Director of Public Prosecution?
Yes, you go to the building, you see, building.
So, in your view, if the Director of Public Prosecution in Ghana was separate, independent, and functional, aside of the AG, then there will be no need for the Special Prosecutor's Office.
Absolutely. But we haven't been able to do that. Politicians have always controlled the DPP. Politicians, small boys will come and control the DPP. That's always been it. The DPP has no voice. It's what the politician says, that goes. Sometimes you even have the DPP being several years ahead of the Attorney General, like we currently have. But currently, the Attorney General is the boss. Mrs. Obubisa is years ahead of the Attorney General at the bar, far senior to the Attorney General. But Attorney General is boss. Attorney General has the last word. So we haven't done that enough. And I'm saying that, so we have always had a history of a public prosecutor. We are not saying we want to be like the Kenyans, though maybe it would have helped. But we had Lawyer Pia as a public prosecutor before then. He did work. He fought corruption. And then, of course, eventually corruption also defeated him, right? But we are trying again. And just like, Mr. Jabin, please, let's also put in this as we go. People are beginning to raise corruption against Mr. Jabin too. Martin Amidu, in his last episode, has started raising issues of corruption against Mr. Jabin. Please, let's watch it. Let's watch it. Mr. Jabin, we will not allow you. He says your friend. There's a writer. So that man he mentioned, it's a full writer. He says that that person goes to collect money. He's your friend or relation. Okay. He says he's in the breed. They equip him in there, and then he serves as the go-between. He seeks to take money to quash or make some of the cases foolish cases and the rest. Look, such an allegation coming from Mr. Amidu deserves the greatest attention. Amidu doesn't make such allegations lightly. Please. Amidu doesn't make allegations of corruption against somebody lightly. So for him to have put that on paper, please, let's watch this. So maybe it's about time we also set some who watches the watchman, somebody to throw such light on corruption in the OSP office, please. And me, myself, I won't even hide it. I've said it before, the way the Dubois case goes, I mean, or the way it went, gives me suspicions. You see, I've always said it from day one. I'm like, why? Is it because Bawumia is part of the Dubois case? Is it because, you know, look at the way how the report came just about a week to the MPP primaries, the presidential primaries. Because Dubois said he was taking the shake to Bawumia. You exonerated Bawumia just about a week to the primaries. Was it to increase his fortunes in that election so that Kennedy Japan will be done? Was it to increase Bawumia's fortunes in that MPP primary? Everybody was clear. He knew why he was going to Bawumia. He knew why he was going to Bawumia. So why do you exonerate Edubuahin a week to the MPP primaries? It's a question you will answer forever. Look, until we go into this case and have it prosecuted, no, we will not leave it. We are all Ghanaians. Because me, I support you, but I also know that you are human. There will be issues. So that's a good thing.
Okay.
We support you, but we also know that you are human. So just know that as we support you, we will also criticize you. That way the work will go on well. We can't just come sit here and do praise singing. So this is a Dubois matter. As I have said, we are doing research, more research. Look, Jantua was prosecuted under section 252, influence peddling.
Okay.
There were other cases that were prosecuted under section 252, influence peddling. That has to do, if you hear the Olenu Commission report, the current law that wants to reintroduce the import
Restrictions Act.
Yeah, and then the permits. Yeah, so what the KT Amon wants to reintroduce permits to be able to import, blah, blah, blah. We had that in the 60s, and there was influence peddling. So to get the permit, you had to go see people who go influence. So that's what Jantua was prosecuted under. Right? And other cases. So when you come and say somebody takes money and says, I'm going to see another person to influence the person, then you say there is no law in Ghana on influence peddling.
So this is a case you want to be revisited?
Yes, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Mr. Jabin, that case, they don't play with it, please. Don't play with it. You made a mistake. Just come back. Let's correct it. And then you prosecute Edubuahin and also the GRA boss. Look, GRA boss, in the case of this in October 20, just about 2 months ago, 2023, the Supreme Court held that GRA boss, you are the one to take administrative or issue administrative sanctions, take penalties against people who come into Ghana with more than $10,000. So it's a case I did. It's called Republic versus Daniel Gibson Azubuike. So they said you deal with that case administratively. So to the extent that Edubuahin came with $40,000, it's not late. That $40,000, he must pay penalties on it, whilst OSP takes action to ask him to return that money so that he, and then the prosecution of that case will go on. So that Edubuahin will come and show how Bawumia features in his plan. You think we are going to sit here? Look, even if he's deaf, we'll face it. That's how our democracy is built to. If Kwame Nkrumah was scared, you think we would get here?
Martin Kpebu, thank you. Let me bring in lawyer and the Apiakubi as well on this, because the speaker, beyond his sense of vindication, also makes a proposal that the powers given the special prosecutor should have been left with a non-partisan attorney general while creating a separate minister for justice who will be a politician. In other words, who will be appointed, by the president. And that is something that, in his view, would have also worked in the stead of the OSP as an office.
Albert, in the spirit of Chinua Achebe, let me congratulate myself for the patience I've had this morning. Because in spite of the unnecessary provocation in the reference to Dr. Bawumia, I have remained very quiet. And I think that as lawyers, we know that mere 1 million allegations does not constitute evidence. So the fact that somebody mentions somebody's name in a discourse doesn't provoke an invitation of anybody to prosecute anything. It may be wrong, it may be false, whatever he may have said, So we don't have to over-rely on that, except that when it is proven in the court of law, then we can, advert our minds to that. But somebody who is being interrogated saying that, oh, I was going to send so-and-so person to Apia-Kubi, then Apia-Kubi becomes a subject of investigation. But let us not push it to that level. I think the consolidation of the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice in one office is a constitutional default. And we need to treat the constitutional default and find a constitutional remedy through a constitutional process.
Okay.
It is not enough for any of us to sit anywhere and say that because I find it incongruent to put the two offices together in one office, it is not feasible, and for which reason we cannot create any other office. And I think it's simplistic to say the least. Having identified that, we don't also have to forget that that is our constitution. Indeed. And that is our greatest law. We have to be careful respecting the constitution, because the constitution as a whole becomes the embodiment of our jurisprudence in Ghana. And we cannot just tear parts and away in our effort to please our expectations. Indeed, we have a path to take if we want to clean our constitution. So let's resort to that if we want to do that. But as Martin has said, if you look at our criminal jurisprudence over the years, there has always been an attempt, one attempt or the other, to decouple the two offices. Because come to think of it, Minister of Justice is a special office that requires that you consciously attempt to manage the rights of people in the country. Make sure that there are no breaches in the enjoyment of rights, there are no threats and all that. So, and again, the Attorney General's office, as per the expectations of the Constitution, is also to prosecute. The same person who, by your one office, expects you to defend the citizens in matters of human rights, the same person, you are supposed to also prosecute the same citizens when there is a breach of any part of the law. So it is difficult. But as Martin gave the chronology of the historical antecedents, we ourselves as people of Ghana, we have always realized that our consolidation is not right. But let's find a way to do the constitutional remedy in good time and within the good process. The creation of the Director of Public Prosecution, the DPP, is also an attempt to find a prosecutor who will not be influenced by politics or by his appointment. But unfortunately, over the years, except one person, Jekedi,
yeah, he was strong.
He was strong. Right. He could resist political influence, and he would do it as it was. An emissary. If I take these two persons in that office, they behave very well, and Jekedi, you will love him in prosecution. But since he left to join his ancestors, we haven't had a Jekedi in that office again. Mrs. Obuabisa, that's the name. Yeah, she is good. As a lawyer, as a prosecutor, she is very good. But to the extent that I cannot also think that she cannot also submit to maybe political directions. That one I cannot vouch. But for her competence, I have no doubt whatsoever. She is good. And if she could be, but again, it depends on you. Our politicians will try, but you resist any political influence, and that makes you a Jekedi. So let us try and let us fail. So the onus is on her as the public prosecutor to ensure that people see you as a person who cannot be compromised, and therefore will not even make an attempt at all. But if you allow Pierre Kpebu to come and sit before you and throw some jabs at you and try to influence you, probably by way of my position in government, then it is your fault. It's your own doing. Nawara. So once we had a JKD who said no to interference,
then it's possible.
It's possible
that
in that possible position. But again, my good friend OSP, the frustration he is sharing is unwelcome. I don't want to buy it.
The Ankwanoma and all
No.
It's unwelcome.
It's unwelcome. I
Why?
won't buy it.
Why?
Because, I have given you the story of JKD. And indeed, there has been this attempt to create a particular office, a special office. And the office is designated to investigate and prosecute corruption and corruption-related offenses. You see, so it's a specialized office. Not to mingle with the Office of Attorney General that prosecutes all crimes. And indeed, upon the creation of the OSP's office, I would have thought that the Attorney General will relinquish every prosecution in respect of corruption and corruption-related to that office, so that that is an attempt to create an independent office. So if, after all the effort we put in to create that office, you only come and say, I'm man, that kind of thing, I'm very disappointed. And I won't buy that.
Well, but that's his reality. That's what's happening in the office.
I mean, he must sit and make sure that that office becomes independent. And the independence of the office depends on him, not on anybody. Like I was saying, if you allow me to come and sit before you and throw my weight about before you, and that will influence you, then it means, and I have pointed to JKD and this one, they resisted, even during the military regimes. JKD will say no. And they said, I expect that kind of person in that office. You see, so if you cannot exert your influence in that office and ward off any attempts at undermining or influencing you, and you come out to cry that you are being intimidated or you are being influenced, you have allowed yourself to be influenced. As far as I'm concerned, there is no cry. So for me, I won't take that invitation to sympathize with him. He has to make sure that he enjoys his independence and he protects his independence, and he makes sure that people are afraid even to come to him, so that he will continue to manage his independence. But just to cry because people are influencing him, because you have opened the gate for people to come, and when they come, you are crying. And as long as the gate continues to be open, they will come. I'm sorry that me, beyond the appointment into public office. If I was, and then
they've sidelined you because you led the crusade against Akufo-Addo.
We are not going there today.
But well done. God bless you.
If it happens
you'll never recover from it.
I was the OSP. I'm not sure that even people will attempt to come to me because they see me as probably a non-compliant person. So they wouldn't even attempt to come to me.
They see you as a non-compliant person.
Because I do.
Non-conformist.
I think it's right. If I make a legitimate mistake, it will be a mistake.
Okay.
But for me to succumb to pressures and intimidation, I don't know intimidation. I don't understand it. So if you attempt to intimidate me, you get it wrong. You rather charge me to, attempt to attack you if you intimidate me. That's my nature. So, and I'm sure a lot of my friends know this. So if I was appointed as an OSP, I'm sure Martin will not come to me and attempt to say, Andy, this is my friend and that kind of thing.
A lot of people say it's easier said than done. You espouse all of these principles, you get in there and then you come face to face with the reality of the situation.
For him to have led the 98 MPs against Akufo-Addo. When was the last time you could gather citizens, MPs like that? That thing, it was a what do you call it? A groundbreaking constitutional move. That parliamentarians, you could influence 98 of your colleagues to stand up against a certain president. Akufo-Addo will never recover from it. It was such a big indictment that Ofori-Atta should go. Ofori-Atta must go. Ofori-Atta must go. Congrats.
Martin, listen to me. I'm sure you were in the Supreme Court just a few days ago when I had a chance to argue before the 13th. Indeed, I had brought application for the court to strike out what I call an unwholesome law.
I see.
You know, some debate ensued in the Supreme Court. I enjoyed the debate, albeit that at the end of the day, maybe other people thought that I was too hard, but at the end of the day also, I realized that there was good counsel from the court to the lawyers that let's listen to me. After all, if somebody comes to join, then it means that he or she is privy to the orders of the court, and therefore we should not find difficulty in serving the orders. I mean, that is the advantage in the joinder. So for me, I took it in good faith that the court was rather giving me an opportunity to facilitate my service of my processes. And in any case, Mr. OSP, you have a beautiful opportunity. If you thought that people could influence you, if you thought that politics could undermine your work, now all of us are behind you, and you are saying that continue to do your work to the best of your ability.
Right.
And posterity will always not forget you.
Okay. Well, let me bring in Dr. Clement Tapak on this one as well. Well, the lawyer, Landia Kubi, doesn't sympathize with the OSP's frustrations and lamentations. But then again, it is on the basis of all of these happenings in the last few weeks that the speaker feels vindicated and all of that. You know, get the understanding that the OSP himself has lent himself to all of these statements by the speaker and others who think like him, that really, if his latest public outburst or outcry is anything to go by, then the office in itself, the creation hasn't had so much of an impact.
Well, Alfred, let me say good morning to you and my co-panelists. My voice is a bit hoarse, but I'll do my best.
Great.
Let me say good morning to the people of Butcher South. You know, my nickname is MPTV3.
MPTV3.
Yeah, because I've been associated with your network for who knows when, ever since I returned from my surgeons abroad. I've always been associated with TV3.
Indeed.
So, let's begin with the speaker's comments and why I perceive the motivation for his comment. You must remember that the speaker, at the time that we were looking at establishing the office of the special prosecutor, like many other Ghanaians, in fact myself included, and including our party, was in principle opposed to the establishment of the office of the special prosecutor. We were not opposed to it because we were against establishing an office, quote unquote, independent enough to fight the canker of corruption. But our concern was how a law that was going to create such an office was still giving room.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal le Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.